Hi, and welcome back to part 3 of setting up the Automation Centre of Excellence. So we did mention in part 2 that we'd move on to the dashboard next, but what I'm going to do for completeness is cover off the implementation steps for satellite environments. So you imagine you've got your main environment, any additional environments, you're going to have to do the satellite environment configuration. So that brings us to slightly different steps. So we kind of left our app registration with the main environment, but for the satellite environment, I'm still going to carry out these steps in the same environment, which is probably asking for trouble, but hey ho. But you would want to either create a new environment or do this in your additional production environments, basically. So we're back in our app registration. I've done this ahead of time. But what we're basically going to want to do is create a secret. With the secret against the app registration, we're essentially going to take the secret and the details by way of overview, so the application ID and the tenant ID, and we're going to store them in the key vault that we created in a previous video. So we've got 3 entries here, one that contains the tenant ID, one that contains the application ID, and one that contains the secret. Next, we're going to want to go into the GitHub repository, click on releases, and so it's Microsoft/PowerCat-automation-kit for the repository. We're then in releases, the latest release. And so far, we've made use of the desktop flow actions.csv. We've made use of the automation COE main managed solution zip file. Now we're going to make use of the automation COE satellite managed zip file, which I've already downloaded ahead of time. In a subsequent video to cover off the dashboard portion of the Automation Centre of Excellence, we'll make use of the Power BI template file. So let's come on over into our Power Platform Admin Center, so aka.ms/ppack. Although thinking out loud, we don't want to do that. I could go to powerapps.microsoft.com, but we're going to go to flow.microsoft.com or powerautomate.microsoft.com, just to be in keeping with the fact that this is the Automation Centre of Excellence. But ultimately, we're going to get into the context of our satellite environment, which is still going to be the Centre of Excellence for us. And then we're looking to get ourselves into the world of solutions. So we're going to click on Solutions on the left. Now, key thing here, if this is a new environment or a subsequent environment, again, prerequisite, you're going to have to import and make available the creator kit within this environment. So another step before importing that satellite solution, you'll be importing the creator kit solution. And a prerequisite to that, you would be in the Power Platform Admin Center and you would be making sure that you enable custom code components, which is a prerequisite for the creator kit. So we've already got the creator kit. We have got the main. I'm not sure what kind of problems I'm going to create by doing the satellite and main alongside each other, but we'll go with it. So imagine that you don't see the main. We're going to click on Import Solution. We're going to browse. We'll browse to the COE satellite managed zip solution file. We'll click Next. It will more than likely want us to specify credentials against connectors, but maybe not. We'll click Next. Some of these we will already have available purely by way of what currently exists and what we did for the main. However, we do have some Power Automate ones here. But the good thing about what you'll find is you kind of just need to create a connection per type. And once you've done one of the types, it will automatically populate the others. So there's a good chance looking at these, you only have to do it once. So I would go select a connection, new connection. It's going to take me away as if I'd just clicked on connections on the left and did this manually, but it should nicely prompt me and set about setting up the connection against the relevant connector without me having to find Power Automate Management. We'll click Create. I'm going to select our account that's already signed in. And then what we can do, he says, is just pop on back on over to where we were, click refresh, and it's now populated everything. And now we'll click next. Here we're going to need some environment variables, which is a key difference between the main solution and the satellite one. So first we've got environment unique name and environment ID, and then environment unique name of the COE main, although this is one and the same in our case, but that's why this would be crucial that you would do the main before subsequently a satellite. So to get these first three covered off, we are going to come into make.powerapps.com. So we're just reutilizing the tab that we were on previously for the connections. And all we've done is click on the gear icon in the top right, developer resources, and we'll take this information from here. That's for the unique name. Environment ID. I'm just going to double check if organization ID anywhere. No. Again, unique name in our case, it might throw a wobbler, but it's going to be the same. And now we're going to look to our Azure Key Vaults. So it is going to give you a clue as to the format of this, and I'm going to show you how you can construct this or fill in the bits that are basically in braces. So the key vault name, the secret name, the resource group, the subscription ID. So coming on over into portal.azure.com, we've located Key Vaults. We've come into our Key Vault, which is called KV Automation Kit in this instance. In the left, in the kind of menu blade, we're going to select Properties, and then Resource ID. We're going to take all of this, and then we're going to come in here, and then we're going to append it with / secrets, and then as suggested here, the secret name. So we're going to want to click on secrets. I'm going to go for the secret one. In fact, if we just come back a step, I just want to make sure that that literally will be the name and not a display name of it, although that is the identifier, but that's secrets /. So I'm going to go for this in the first instance. We can always come back and change these. So I'm going to go for that being the format, which should cover that off. Next, it wants the Automation Project App ID. The Automation Project App ID of the Canvas app that is deployed with the main solution. Okay, so we're in the environment of our main solution. We'll click on Apps. And I'm going to say the Canvas app. Right, now I've actually read it properly. The Automation Project app. Okay, Automation Project of the type Canvas. So details, and we'll get the app ID. We'll fill in that. Now, region of the current environment. So it should be United Kingdom for this, but again, it's going to help you out and tell you where you can find that. So although that looks like a typo there, actually, need to miss one of the /. Should really raise that as a bug, but I'm sure people will figure it out. So it's let's go to aka.ms/ppack, which, as you'll know by now, is my favorite URL. And then once this is loaded, we're going to click on environments on the left and confirm the region, which is United Kingdom. And I'll just copy it just to ensure it's definitely right. So desktop flows base URL. The base URL for desktop flows in Power Automate portal. I mean, it does say here, or use the new link, which can be used for any region. So I'm tempted to just make use of that for now, unless we see any issues. Just while we're on the topic, we've got similar, it's what's the client ID and the tenant ID. Client ID, you can also, aka application ID. So I'm just going to copy off what we did for the client. So I'm just going to Control A, Control C. I'm just going to Control V to paste that into both of those, but we'll just switch up this one to be, I think I did actually call it application ID just to be different. And then this one will be tenant ID. One thing I am going to do at this point, especially with this environment variable, is possibly use the user ID of the application user, or it could be of the user. But let's go to Power Platform Admin Center. We're going to click on our Center of Excellence environment. Once this is loaded, we're going to click on Settings. We're then going to expand Users and Permissions, select Application Users, and we're going to create a new app user, add an app. We're going to select our automation kit, app registration, select the single business unit that's available. And I'm just going to double check, but if it's like the other Center of Excellence, we're going to give this the system administrator role and then click Create. And then, rightly or wrongly, I might have to do a bit of troubleshooting after this. I'm going to take that and use that there. Failing that, I would go into users and get the user ID, because you have to be careful in CRM land, as I call it, because the ID of, like, in Azure Active Directory doesn't always translate to the ID. Application users do tend to have the same ID as the application ID. So environment URL of the current environment. So for environment URL, we're back in environments, the environment, and at the top level, I'm going to select our environment URL. Now I'm going to assume that it wants to be prefixed with HTTPS. Environment name of the current environment. So we'll just put this as Center of Excellence. And then automation COE alert email recipient. So I'm just going to put this as our administrator one and then click import. And because I want to do this true to life and not try and sugarcoat anything, the inevitable did happen, and we did half suspect, because we were doing this into an environment that already had the main. We can already see that a conflict has occurred here, because it's tried to do something that's basically already happened by way of the main solution. So if you imagine this was the new environment or a different environment, the import has been successful. What the kind of final step would then be is you'd come into solutions, you'd go into the satellite solution, you'd click on tables on the left, you'd be looking for the desktop flow actions table, and then you'd be looking to import the auto COE _ desktop flow actions.csv